These are 7 levels of web design, and each one adds something that completely changes how a website looks and feels. We're going to start off with the most minimalistic design possible, and by level 7, we're going to have a web design that could actually win some awards. Level 1. Most people think you need crazy effects to make a website look good. You don't. You just need 3 things: typography, spacing, and a grid. That's it. No gradients, no animations, no images. We're not even going to use color yet. Just black, white, and maybe some gray. That's why level 1 web design is minimal design. It's websites with minimalism built in. There's not much going on. Next up, I'm going to open up Framer and I'm going to time-lapse the creation of a level 1 website and keep upgrading it all the way through to level 7 so you can see the difference. I'm going to create a minimalistic design for a digital technology brand, maybe something in finance. Level 1 website designs are essentially minimalistic websites. Once done, it should look good, but it's still missing something. It works, but it doesn't stand out. It's clean, but it's forgettable. So let's fix that. Level 2, a website theme. Okay, so we've got this clean design. It works, but it doesn't feel like it belongs to anybody. There's no brand here, no personality. If I was to swap out a company name, you wouldn't even notice. And that's the problem with minimalistic design. While it's clean, it's also a bit generic. Level 2 is about giving things an identity. We do this through a logo, a very nice image that is complementary to the color scheme we pick, as well as a custom font. Let me use my design as an example. What I'm going to do first is drop in the logo. I've pasted it here into the design. Let me double click on the navbar component and paste it straight into the logo section I set up earlier. And immediately the navbar feels different. It actually feels like it belongs to a company. This one change added more personality than everything we did in level 1 combined. Now, colors. I'm going to set a primary, a secondary, and an accent color as variables and start adding them to things like the background, the hero section, and different parts of the website. First, I'll change the background, making it a darker variation of the logo color. Much better. Next, I'll update the buttons and fonts. Again, I'll use the logo as reference, making the primary color the same color that the logo has. I'll update the fonts, using a custom font so the website has a unique look and feel. Finally, I'll throw some images here in the placeholders that I created earlier. See? Completely different energy. Same layout, same structure, but now it actually feels like it's something. Now take a look at this next to where we started. Same content, same sections, and same layout, but one looks like a template, and the other one looks like it's from a real company. And honestly, most websites you see online are sitting here at level 2. But we're not stopping here, because this still looks like every other SaaS landing page you've ever seen. There's a brand, and it feels safe, but level 3 is where we start to make it look modern. Level 3, modern design. Alright, so the first 2 gave us brand and it looks professional. However, when creating standard designs like this, there are some drawbacks. Here are some other examples. The layout is safe. Everything is stacked in rows and layers, and each section looks the same. Header, text, 3-column design, and repeat. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's also not that exciting. Level 3 is where we fix that. We have a look at the differences that websites are now doing in 2026, and we start to apply modern looks and feels to the layout, shape, and language. Let me show you what I mean. In level 3 for modern design, websites use larger blocks of text in different sections. They utilize things like bento grid, which is still trending, allowing you to grasp more information in a more visual way. They also never use carousels anymore. Modern designed websites just look cleaner overall, with information being a lot more accessible. And this is further enhanced with good use of color and imagery. Let me build out a feature section. I'll start by copy pasting the hero. I'll give it a title and a description, as well as reusing one of the buttons as a label. Now for the actual features themselves. I'll create a few boxes here with titles and descriptions about the services. Then I'll add a corresponding image to each one. And finally, I'll convert these rows into a bento grid structure. And this is done simply by combining a couple of rows and columns together. And you can see how just using new layout techniques like this, you can make a website look a lot more modern. Level 4, micro animations. Okay, so far the website looks great. If you ship this, most clients would be happy, but go to use it, hover over a button, scroll down, click something, and nothing happens. Nothing reacts to you. Level 4 is where we wake up the website. We make it feel alive. I'm not talking about big, flashy animations. We're not there yet. What I'm talking about are the small, tiny things, the micro animations, the stuff you don't notice consciously, but you feel when it's missing. Examples can include a small zoom in on an image, a small hover effect on a button, or even a small transition or slide on a feature or a card. While such things might seem small, they play a significant part in making a website feel like it's alive, living and breathing and reacting to how a user interacts. Let's start with a button. Right now, when you hover over it, nothing happens. It just sits there. I'm going to add a hover variant. First, I'll double click on it. It'll take me into the component itself. In here, it's actually pretty easy. I'll just select the plus sign and I can select to create a hover version. For this hover version, I'm going to change the background fill. Right now, it's a white color with 10% opacity. I'm going to bump up the opacity to around 50% for the hover version. And for the variant version using the primary color, I'm going to change the rotation to about 2 to 4% so it feels like it's a little bit slant. I can head to the top right to preview my changes. You can see them applied there with that slight transition. I can also go to the main home page, and on the right here under effects, I can add a little bit of a hover effect to change the scale of the button when I hover over. That only took 10 seconds, but now the button feels like a real thing that you can press and interact with, rather than just a rectangle on a square. Now I'm going to do the same for text, because right now when you scroll down, the text is just there. There is no slight fade in, fade out. There is no movement whatsoever. When selecting an element like text, on the right-hand inspector, I have a button called Effects. I can create a trigger, which is an on-appear trigger, causing a fade in or a slide in or any effect I want when we enter the on-appear method. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of apply this to all my text elements as well as my images. Additionally, I'm going to go to my navigation at the very top here and also create a custom effect here on scroll. I want the navbar to kind of disappear when you scroll down and then reappear when you scroll up. And we can do this through setting its opacity from 0 to 100% and back to 0. Let's test out these level 4 micro animations. All our text and images are now fading in and they look a lot better. And the navbar, well, when I scroll down, it disappears and reappears just how I wanted. Quick pause. If you want to learn more about web design, definitely check out the course I created called Teach Me Design. It's a book as well as a video guide on how to create good looking websites. Everything from color theory to topography to even how to create components that just visually look good. I've got a link below where you can check it out, and it's definitely something that I've put together over many years and continue to build upon to teach people the basics of design so that they can create good looking websites if they don't know how to do so. Level 5, depth. Alright, so in level 4, we made things feel alive. Things move and react and respond to the user. But viewing the page from a distance, everything still is a bit flat. Every element is on the same plane. Cards, text, images, buttons, they're all at the same altitude. It's like looking from a top-down view of Google Maps. Without that 3D depth, everything just feels like it is on one single plane. And this is where level 5 lets us use things like backdrop filter, depth, and shadows to create an element of depth into the page. Sometimes you can use things like glass morphism as well to add additional depth. Suddenly, elements go from sitting on a page to feeling like they float above the page. There's difference between the foreground and the background. Designs that have layering and depth actually create something like shadows that you feel like you would have in real life. The way I'll do this is adding a background image here to our hero section, creating this image that looks like a light ray, making it feel like there's a bit more depth. Another example is here on these cards. I could add a hover effect with a shadow happening in the background. This normally looks great on a website with a white background, but on a dark background like this one here, it's hardly visible. So what we're going to do instead is change this to be a slight glow using the primary color of the website itself. I'll also increase the scale of this card by about 2 to 5% when you hover over, so that it gives the illusion of it actually lifting up off the page as you hover over. It's small changes like this that can provide the illusion of depth on a website design. Level 6, storytelling through scrolljacking. So up to now, you've been in control. You decide when to scroll, see stuff, scroll more, see more stuff. The page is just sitting there, waiting for you to move through it at whatever speed you want. Level 6 is where we take that control away from you, and I mean that in the best way possible, because level 6 is where scrolling stops being a way for you to move down the page and starts being something that drives the entire website experience. Examples of level 6 websites using scrolljacking include things like horizontal scroll or infinite scroll combined with horizontal scroll to create this kind of infinite carousel, or even when website elements follow you as you scroll up and down, like this iPhone. I also like examples where elements of the page stay static while other elements continue to scroll, like this featured projects section from this website here. Level 7, 3D. Every single level until now has happened on a flat screen in 2 dimensions. In our final level, we're going to step inside the website. We're going to use Spline Design. It's a 3D software tool that allows you to run right in the browser, and I can start building objects like this one here and drop them straight into the hero section. When logging into Spline Design, there's a bunch of community-made 3D assets which I can begin to use or remix in my own design. But I'm going to do something where it's a 3D object that follows my mouse cursor, since they're a little bit more interactive, like this robot one here. If I hit Remix, it opens the project up in its own little window just over here. From here, I can go to Export and copy the embedded URL. Back inside of Framer, I can actually import this in a number of ways. I could overlay it in the hero section, but to make things simple, I'm just going to create a brand new section here and simply drop the embedding in. While this is pretty simple, it just shows you how quickly and easily you can integrate 3D assets into web designs now. Adding 3D elements to your page doesn't have to be overwhelming. It can be as simple as adding a 3D grid to the background of your hero section, or a beautiful shape next to your hero text. What it does do is make your website look a little bit more elegant and premium. The goal here is just to enhance the visuals you're trying to show. And when done well, 3D just makes your website look that much more premium. I hope you guys enjoyed this video on the 7 levels of web design. It was really fun to make. I'd also like to thank Framer for sponsoring this video. A lot of the examples you saw throughout the video were actually Framer templates which you can download and use in your own designs. If you want to learn more about them, definitely check them out in the link below.